of Let's Talk About It with Ealot. And this episode is going to be for the people that are single, male and female, that are single and, happy being single. So let's talk about it. Is it really possible to be happy and being single? I definitely think so. Society puts a lot of pressure on us to make us feel like we need to be in a relationship to be complete, to be in a relationship to be happy. But I found that being single actually is a very comforting position, and let me kind of elaborate on that. So being single, I think for some people is not a place that they want to be. Maybe they, for whatever reason, are afraid of being alone. Maybe not having a constant companion makes them feel somehow like they're inadequate or insufficient in some type of way. But for me, I believe truly it is possible to be happy being single, and that requires you really getting to know yourself, you finding out what's important to you, what's not important, what people and what things you want in your space. And you get to decide how involved you want other people to be in your life. So for a companion to just have, a guy, or if you're a guy dating a female, you just have somebody that you go out to dates with, but you're able to come back home and have your own solitude and your own peace. That has been definitely a journey for me, because I obviously have been married before. I may have discussed it on a previous episode. But I've been married and I've also been single. So I've been able to move on both sides of those types of relationships. And for me, I actually feel happy being single, because I've learned to do things that really bring me happiness, to bring me peace. And when I decide that I want to go home and I want to retreat away from people and things, I'm able to do that without the responsibility of having to be something to another person or my companion. And so, not that marriage is a bad thing, because marriage is a wonderful experience when you're married to the right person and both of you are fully invested and committed into being happy. But being single requires definitely that you know who you are, that you know what you want, that you know what your deal breakers are, and that you're whole within yourself, that you're not healing from something so that you feel codependent. And I do know some people that are codependent. They don't really know how to move through life without having a relationship or not having to depend on someone else occupying their time. But I actually enjoy my own company. Now, am I one of those people that go to movies and things like that by myself? Not quite there, but I definitely enjoy my own company. I think that I'm able to, find things that I feel like are fillers for my day, whether it's going to work, whether it's deciding to do a trip, whether it's deciding to meet someone for lunch or dinner, or whatever whatever I'm in the mood for. But for me, being single has definitely been a journey into finding things that bring me peace, that bring me happiness. And I am a parent. So being a parent, I never really wanted to bring any and everyone around my children. So I was always really selective of who I dated after, my husband passed away and my relationship ended. So I wanted to make sure that I was solid, that I did not have a revolving door around my children with dating different men and, them not knowing who's coming in next. So I had to learn to be okay with myself. I had to learn to love me being single and not depending on another individual for my peace of mind and happiness. I learned that that's completely up to me. I don't want to put that responsibility on another person. So it's up to me to be happy on my own and not rely on another person to feel that for me. So in doing that, I've learned to enjoy being single. I can clean my house if I want to clean my house. I can have somebody clean my house if I want to have someone clean my house. I can come and go whenever I'm ready, and I'm not responsible for another relationship. And I think society puts a lot of pressure on you, and social media makes you feel like, well, these people are married. I know a lot of people who are married by title, married by paper, by document, but they are not happy together as husband and wife. They share the same roof, but they're not even one otherwise. They both live two different lives, except they share the same address. Never was that for me. I feel like if I'm going to be married, I'm going to be married. If I'm going to be single, I'm going to be single. And I'm not going to try to move in both of those realms. So I feel like married people have a different level of responsibility to be whatever their partner may need for them to contribute to the relationship. And so as a result of that, a lot of times people are just married, and I never wanted to be that person. So I had to discover, and have had to do it still, things that bring me happiness in being single. And one of, I think, the best things for me is, I like traveling. I matter of fact, I really enjoy it. It's one of my best pastimes. And I feel like I can come and go whenever I'm ready. And I know in society, a lot of people feel like, well, if I'm single, I'm going to be lonely. There's a difference. I mean, a major difference between being alone and being lonely. And I have learned to do things that I enjoy. And when I want to be around people, I go around people, I visit people, I'm interacting with other people. And when I don't want to do it, I'm not required to do it. I'm not mandated to do it because I am married or I am, in a committed relationship. So I do enjoy the single life. I enjoy the benefits of coming and going. And because I am whole, because I am happy with myself, I don't feel a need or some type of pressure to try to look like I'm in a relationship with someone just because society is saying that's what it looks like. And again, I think, people are married just on paper. Like, who wants to do that? What's cool about that? I think it looks better to say I'm single and I'm happy being single. I enjoy my time with, my friends, my family. If I'm dating, if I don't want to date, I'm not required to do anything except what Ealot wants to do. And if Ealot doesn't want to do it, Ealot doesn't have to do it, because Ealot is only responsible for herself. And I think as an individual, whether you're a man or a woman, you have to get to a point. And I think it's easier maybe for men to be single because men don't typically carry the same weight in the relationship that women do. So I think men and women both have to be at a point in their life, though, where they are whole within themselves. They don't need another individual to complete them or make them feel like if I'm not in a relationship, somehow there's something wrong with me. And maybe the older you get, the easier it is to do that. When I was, married, I was married. So my responsibilities were, to be what I needed to be for my husband as best as I possibly could. And so even at that, it's easier to me to lose yourself when you're married, because you start becoming more committed to, okay, these are the things I need to do in a relationship. But when you're single, I don't know, for me, it just hasn't been that. It's a great experience. I enjoy it. I wish more people would take the time to find out who they are, because when you're in a relationship, you should already know who you are. You should already know your deal breakers. You should know what you want and what you don't want. And I know a lot of people are still trying to figure that out. But if that's where you are, to me, you shouldn't be in a relationship, because once you invite another person into your world and you're going to be in a relationship with them, now you need to be able to contribute to that person's life from a place of wholeness. And so if you can't be okay with being single, how are you going to be okay with being married? Or how would you be okay with being in a committed relationship? Or to make other people feel like, well, I'm with this person, so I must be happy. Not really. And especially those people that have children, you know, you're playing this facade like, oh, I'm happily married, I got children. And so it looks like everything is perfect when the kids are in a dysfunctional situation, and you know you're doing them more harm than good. And that's another episode where we'll talk about dysfunctional relationships. But I think in being single, especially, and I could speak to this from a woman's, you know, me being a woman, I think it's important that you are whole, that you have discovered what you want, what you don't want in a relationship, what you need to feel happy and at peace. And you know, be willing to compromise, obviously, if at some point you want to have a relationship, but know that you're okay and there's nothing wrong with you. You're not insufficient in some type of way. You're not inadequate, but that you're whole as a person, so that when you do decide to be in a relationship, you're not bringing that baggage, because you've already done the work on yourself. And it's hard to do that, or it's easier, I should say, to do it when you're not in a relationship with someone else. And I know as people get older, some people feel like they're going to be lonely because maybe they've spent most of their years in a relationship. But even at that, you still need to know, you know, what your boundaries are, because it's crazy out here. Like, people are doing some weird crap. A lot of times people will say, you know, they're one way and they're a different way, and now you're in a relationship and you've invited them into your world and they've turned your world upside down, and now you got to make a decision on how you're going to put your world back together. Yeah, I don't know if I have time for that. Get somebody else to do it. I'm not doing that. It's important to me that I'm happy, that I'm at peace, that I don't have somebody tugging on my mental strings emotionally, or they're going through, you know, their own life cycles because they didn't get themselves together before they came into my world. So for me, being single, I definitely enjoy it. I do definitely think that it is absolutely possible to be happy and fulfilled, but that starts with making sure that you do the work on yourself so that you can get to that point. And as a woman, I think we need to be more in tune with making sure that we know our self-worth, so that we don't allow men to come into our lives that are going to diminish us, that are going to turn our world upside down, and we're afraid to walk away because we've become codependent. Work on yourself. Do what you need to do to be whole, whether it's reading a book, whether it's spending time with people who've already reached that plateau in life. And that's important too, because a lot of times you can be single and you have other friends that are single, but maybe they're not happy single. You know, maybe they're not fulfilled because for whatever reason they haven't done the work on themselves. So figure that out for yourself. But definitely I hope that, you know, you find a happy place in that, because there's nothing wrong with it. Don't let society pressure you. But there you have it. That is this week's episode of Let's Talk About It with Ealot. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope that each episode brings you a nugget that you could take and use in some form or fashion. And feel free to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube so that I can get feedback. I'd love to hear if there's something specific you'd like for me to talk about. Let's talk about it. To stay connected with me, make sure you're following me on TikTok and IG. And thanks for watching, and I love you without judgment. See you next time.